Hi, Reese here from PD Gamers with a Castle Clash tutorial video for the Lost Realm. Lost Realm is one of the most profitable game modes in Castle Clash and your only source of blue and red crystals, which are especially valuable. As you level up your Lost Realm, you get crystal mines, which increase in level, and you start with only one, but you eventually have 8, which are your main source of blue crystals. And you level these up as your Lost Realm level increases, which is based on the experience counter in the top left hand corner. You earn experience for every time you move. For each movement you make 1 experience, and for battles based on the strength of your opponents you get experience as well. To move about in the Lost Realm, your currency is stamina, which is the green bar on the top left hand of the screen under the purple bar. That's how many movements you have, and each square costs 1 movement to move onto, 1 stamina to move onto, and battles also cost an amount that will be quoted to you when you look at the setup of the opposition, as you can see there. So each day you're going to have roughly sorry, I should have calculated this before I made the video. You make 1 stamina every 10 minutes, which is 6 stamina per hour, which is 144 stamina per day. It's for free, and you'll get a 40 stamina card for free for completing 3 Lost Realm battles. So that's 184 stamina per day. So that's your break-even point for movement, just to keep doing what you're doing. You can also spend gems to refill your stamina bar beyond that if you'd like. So you have quite a lot of movements, obviously, but you also have a whole day of Lost Realm where you can do stuff. So there's no real rush to do it. You can get pretty good value. Generally, if you've got a bit of flexibility with your time, you can just set an alarm for when your stamina is going to run out, and then anytime you have a bit of time, you can hop on and try and use some. That's generally what I do, although generally I don't think I need to, because there's normally enough stuff to do. So the first rule for Lost Realm is don't move more than 3 squares to get to something, unless it gets you to a bunch of 3 things within 2 squares of each other. So right now, obviously I'm going to fight the one I'm standing on, because it costs me nothing to move there, which is the best value. And then from there we'll see where the next monster spawns to see what the optimal movement is. In the Lost Realm you have a team of 5 as well, but we'll get to that after. So as you can see, there's a pretty clear line. Chests to move on to are quite valuable, so moving on to them is fine as long as they're in your path or don't cost more than 1 out of your way to get to. So as you can see, there's a pretty clear path here. It'll take me 3 moves to get to the Serpent Queen, but that'll also include picking up a gold chest, so it's 2 movements away, so that's good enough value for me. So I'll open my gold chest, fight the Serpent Queen, and then from there we'll see where the optimal movement is. There's probably going to be bronze chest, then back down to the bottom, unless there happens to be a very fortunate spawn. So every time you defeat a set of monsters, a new monster spawns, which as you can see just happened there, which can then change the optimal movement. So as you can see, the best path is now going to be doing a U-turn, going back down south via the what is that? It's a Triton, and then down to the Atlantic Core, and then over to the Thunder God. This will allow me to move only 7 times and open a chest plus fight 3 battles, which is fantastic. So before we move on, we should also mention that there are, as well as the chests which you need the keys to open, there are hidden events in the Lost Realm. One is Treasure Trove, which is an option to spend blue crystals to earn items. Another is the Merchant, where you can spend gold and or gems to buy items. And the last one is the essentially the boss of the Lost Realm, the Lost Realm Demon, who you fight for a significant amount of red crystals and also a mythic crest bag. Hopefully one of those will pop up shortly and I'll get to show them to you. If not, no big deal. So for now I'm just going to continue moving on. So what I do in Lost Realm every day is I just keep moving until it's non-efficient anymore. As soon as there's nothing within my range that I can move to, I'll just stop, and then I'll be on before I go to bed, or I'll be on in a few hours if I'm bored or whatever, and I'll find time. So you'll see you get an experience for completing battles as well as red crystals and also items, which typically are just bronze keys. And so we're kind of running out here of stamina. So rather than use a stamina card and refill 40 more, I'll probably, unless something spawns close, I'll probably just stop after this one. Right, so here I've got one within 2, but it takes me to the edge of the map, which means I'm less likely to find a convenient one to move to later. So at this point I'm happy to just stop, because I'm in a very good location. and I've got a lot of time till my stamina fills up, so I'll just wait and I'll come back to it later and hopefully find one within 2 squares and keep the dream alive. We didn't get any of the merchant or the demon, unfortunately, but I'll put them in a different video sometime. So for Lost Battlefield now, the other thing I didn't mention is these things, which are battle altars. These are where you fight against other opponents to within your might bracket to win blue crystals. Generally, I'll go over the guidelines for what teams you should set up for that shortly, but generally once you get to the high might area, they're going to be very, very competitive. You're going to need to have at least a Dread Drake and a 505 Revite Ares, or you're not even going to be able to compete at all. So then that's my might bracket around 160. Below that, generally you're just going to put your best DPS team, that's damage per second, so your highest damage heroes, which I'll get to shortly, and then you should be able to hold your own if your account's good. Those who spend early on are going to have really good accounts while their might's low, and compared to the average person, and as a result they're going to hold those for a long time. So for your setup, this is my setup. My setup is built predominantly around my Cupid's 505 Revitalize, and as a result I set up this way. How you set up does depend slightly upon your heroes, but generally you want to make sure you've got decent damage and you want to have decent survivability as well. So a tank at the front, a PD at the front to take some aggro, because the more he gets hit the more he procs, and he massively increases your whole team's damage. You want a tank of some kind at the front to take the brunt as well and help him. I choose to use Destroyer because my destroyer is 10 of 10. But for heroes that don't have a destroyer or haven't put anything into him, so have better things to put, Thunder God's a very, very good tank at the front, only because he doesn't have a cooldown on his proc. So once he's getting hit and PD's getting hit, all of a sudden Thunder God starts proccing very frequently, which is exceptionally good value, because you get a ton of stuns off it. If you have PD and or Thunder God at the front, you want to have Stone Skin crests or Revive crests, or barring that Tenacity crests on them, because you want to keep them alive for longer so they can take as many hits as possible. Of course it's going to vary somewhat depending on the talents of your heroes. Beyond that, Cupid's exceptional because he gives your team an attack buff and helps them proc faster, but if your Cupid hasn't got a high skill level and or has a reasonable skill level, but you've got other heroes that are built up better, you might want to use them. And then beyond that, it's just DPS. So Vlad and Santa are the best DPS heroes. I don't have a Santa, so I don't have one in here. Vlad is my best DPS hero. The other one the support heroes that are exceptionally good, and Dread Drake is the other hero that's amazing that I don't have. If I have Dread Drake, I would be using him here, probably just in place of the Destroyer, because the constant stuns are just amazing, plus his damage is really good and his survivability is really good. Ares isn't a must, but it probably should be used simply because some of the biggest teams have Atlanticores, and every now and again, if an Atlanticore procs at the wrong time, you're going to get axed. So an Ares reduces the possibility of that happening to almost zero, especially if your Ares has high skill level. So that's why there's an Ares in my team. But for the most part, the Lost Realm monsters are a walk through. I could probably use any of my top 20 heroes, any 5 of them, and not have any issues most of the time. That's pretty much all there is about that. Against players, it's pretty similar to the arena, except it's got this setup, and quite similar to the Lost Battlefield, because obviously the setups are quite similar, where you're all about Ares. You've got to get your Ares to proc before theirs, and if you can do that, you're going to do well, and if you can't do that, you're not going to be able to beat anyone else, but anyone who has an Ares that's better than yours. So as a result, the standard heroes that support Ares are best, so things like Dread Drake, Warlock if he has Revitalize, especially due to the Fire Shield, Harpy for slowing the opposition down. Such heroes as that are the best ones. Beyond that, you can try and slap in an Atlanticore with Sire Shield to try and sneak under the radar of your opponent's Ares, but if they have a Dread Drake's just going to break the Sire Shield anyway. You're not going to get much value out of it. So that's essentially all there is to really know about Lost Realm. It's a fun one to play, especially when you're new to it, and it's a especially valuable one for the resources, because the blue crystals are invaluable, given the inscriptions are such a big boost to all your heroes. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the channel to see more Castle Clash videos, and please check out our website at www.pdgamers.com.